Hello, this is Sean from the Telescope. This is a slightly different video. This is a response to the Waveform Podcast, but it's still going to be a fresh insight from the biggest car market in the world. Also, as you can see, I'm experimenting with my newly arrived DJI Osmo Pocket 3. So for this video, I'm just going to zoom around in this garage. This is also the place where I normally shoot all of Telescope's A-row talking head videos. My Xiaomi SU7 video was very well received because that was the only English-speaking video that actually featured a real car. So I was pretty happy to be told that my video featured on the Waveform Podcast.
Xiaomi announced the SU7 EV, their first car. It is fully electric. It has all kinds of inspiration from the Porsche Taycan. I mean, if you see photos of this thing, 75% of it looks like a Porsche Taycan, and there's some slight adaptations for things.
Now, having watched the video as a long-term subscriber of MKBHD, I have a few things to say. Firstly, you should credit the source. It's not like the footage you're using is some B-roll footage that could be from anyone. Like, I was in the shots. That's me. So the least you can do, I guess, is to credit the source. Secondly, I'm slightly disappointed that the Waveform Podcast didn't do enough research to back up their opinions. Yes, I know they were not in Beijing to see the car, but the whole press conference is uploaded onto Xiaomi's YouTube channel. Yes, I know it's close to 4 hours long, but we have AI now. It's not that difficult to let ChatGPT write a summary of it. Instead, they were quoting me and a few other publications. Now, I stood by everything I said in the video, but the articles they were quoting from are quite shaky or exaggerated or didn't provide enough context. For example, the 35,000 RPM motor is not going to be on the SU7. If you've watched the press conference, you would know that it's the next generation motor that Xiaomi is currently working on in the lab.
We had even higher number, 35,000 RPM. Very stunning number. And we also filed application patent. Of course, it's far away from mass production.
And they said explicitly that this motor will not be on the SU7. They were pretty clear about this. The 668 horsepower is kind of accurate. It's actually 673 horsepower or 663 brake horsepower. The range. Okay, here comes the part I actually constantly talk about on the Telescope videos in a very subtle way. That is the different range test cycles that different regions use. The 800-kilometer range here is the Chinese CLTC test cycle. It's not the European WLTP cycle, and it's definitely not the Americans' EPA cycle, which is why I always try to give 3 range numbers for every car I reviewed. The WLTP and EPA numbers are estimates. The conversion ratio is based on cars that's available in all 3 countries. So the 800 kilometers range number is CLTC, which is roughly 360 miles EPA, okay? So when you quote the range numbers of Chinese cars, please add the CLTC to the back of it, or even better, do the conversion yourself. Generally, you can divide the CLTC range number by 1.2 to get the European WLTP number, or divide by 1.4 to get the EPA numbers in kilometers, and then do the kilometers to miles conversion. The 1200 kilometers range number is also CLTC, but it's also incorrect. Xiaomi said in the press conference that the biggest battery they can squeeze into the current SU7 platform is 150 kilowatt hours, but for cost reasons, they won't do it.
Although the current chemical systems supports such a capacity, but the cost is too high, so most brands make it just for demo. And in our internal discussion, we want to really produce a mass production battery pack.
They were pretty clear about this, okay? They said they could, but they won't do it. And this 1200 kilometers range number is based on that 150 kilowatt hour battery pack. The charging claim is real. That's 137 miles in 5 minutes or 317 miles in 15 minutes. But again, that's 137 miles and 317 miles of the CLTC range. So when you do the calculation, it's 220 kilometers times the CLTC consumption of the SU7, which is 12.6 kilowatt hour per 100 kilometer. So that's 27.7 kilowatt hour in 5 minutes times 12 gets you 332 kilowatts over a 5-minute interval. That's not out of this world fast. It is doable within the 800-volt architecture. The same goes for the 317 miles in 15 minutes. That's an average of 257 kilowatts across a 15-minute time interval. Seems much more reasonable now, doesn't it? And this is for the 800-volt 101 kilowatt-hour battery only and does not apply to the base 400-volt 73.6 kilowatt-hour LFP battery. That is probably the most cheeky part of Xiaomi's press conference. Xiaomi kept banging on about how great the SU7 is, but most of the headline numbers only applies to the 800-volt version, and Xiaomi only mentioned the base model at the very end. Anyway, my point is Xiaomi is not throwing outrageous numbers. It's the international audience not knowing or not providing the correct context. Thirdly, I'm disappointed about the Waveform Podcast discussion, mainly because of this general dismissal tone about this car.
Do we think this car achieves a single one of these specs?
I know a lot of the skepticism is based on not knowing the range and the charging numbers are COTC and not EPA. But this overall dismissal tone towards Xiaomi that they will never make this car is frankly amazing.
Well, you can make one. Everyone can make one. Sony made a car. Once.
Firstly, it is real. People have spotted the VB car, that's the validation build car, as early as January last year doing cold weather testing. And Xiaomi's test fleet has been spotted all over the country in all the right places at the right time, like hot weather testing, endurance testing. There are a couple of places in China where all the manufacturers go and do these places. Xiaomi's fleet were all there. And in the top speed testing facility, handling testing facilities, engineers from other manufacturers have seen Xiaomi's fleet testing there for quite some time now. And to put the icing on the cake, I saw one Xiaomi SU7 test car under camouflage less than 2 kilometers away from where I'm standing right now. So it is real. And even if you're not in China and you didn't work in the car industry and you didn't know engineers that happen to be testing alongside the Xiaomi fleet, at the least you can do is to watch the press conference. It's on YouTube. It's not that hard to let ChatGPT write a summary of it. If you went any deeper than quoting a couple of online articles, you will know this Xiaomi car is for real. That is my response to the Waveform Podcast. That is all from the Telescope today. If you enjoyed this video, keep watching, keep subscribing. More videos coming to you very soon.